Hi, and welcome everybody to another edition of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. It's Tuesday, May the 9th, here on the Winner's Circle Sports Betting channel. And I am joined today by Mr. Jesse Shule of jesseshule.com. You'd be hard-pressed to find a hotter handicapper since the first of the year, and quite frankly, since the first of last year as well. Jesse, how are you?
I'm doing all right, Ross. I'm just thankful that you're in charge of keeping track of what day it is and not me.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of time difference between me and Jesse as Jesse resides in Thailand, and he has for quite a while. So the time difference somewhere around 12, 13 hours, is it, Jesse?
Yeah, it's we don't have daylight savings here, so it's sometimes it's 11 hours, sometimes it's 12 hours different
Okay.
from Eastern time zone. But I find it very favorable because I get to wake up,
Yeah.
drink my coffee. The games are still going on, so I get to watch games, and then I have all night to attack early lines and get the best of the lines. And by 6 a.m. your time, I should have all my entire day would be done.
Yeah, that certainly would be ideal, no doubt about it, from my chair. And yeah, I could see why it would be so favorable to you. And I know that you enjoy it there, and you like the lifestyle there, and it's affordable. So God bless you, my friend. And once again, Jesse is getting done with dinner there while I'm just having my second cup of coffee. And if you don't know anything about Jesse, he loves the barbecue, boy. And God forbid if he's barbecuing during one of these shows and he leaves his wife in charge, he's got one eye on her like he's a classroom school teacher. So in any event, Jesse, we're going to be talking baseball today. I'm going to look at the Toronto and Philadelphia game, and you're going to be looking at the Dodgers and the Brewers. But before we get to that, a couple items of note. I mean, last night we saw a couple of NBA results, and two teams that took commanding leads in their series. The Miami Heat prevailed over the New York Knicks, and now lead that series 3-1. And the Lakers, with an impressive come-from-behind win as they were down 7 going into the fourth quarter, and they won by 3, much to my chagrin, because I had Golden State +3. I did get a push on the game, and I had to hold my breath, Jesse, because I don't know if you watched the game, but 1.7 seconds ago, the Lakers had the ball on the side out, and they inbounded it, and the Golden State Warriors did not foul, didn't have a chance to foul. So I escaped with a push. Even though I'm disappointed I blew the lead, sometimes a push is like a win when that happens. So in any event, your thoughts on what we've seen in the NBA playoffs overall, and specifically what we saw last night in those two series?
Well, my play on the Lakers game last night was on Steph Curry over 30 and a half points, and he just barely got there. He got 31. I talked a lot about the free throw disparity. I think in game 3 of the series, it was 37-17 free throws, a 20-point disparity. And, if another team is going to get 20 more free throws, there's not too many teams in this league that are going to lose games if they get to the line 20 more times than their opponent. I thought that the league would not want to embarrass itself by having a big disparity again in game 4. And it wasn't as significant, but it was still the disparity was still there. And it's too bad. I think from the fans' point of view, seeing this series go 7 games would be preferable. And now you got to wonder if the Lakers are going to wrap it up in a gentleman's sweep, or if they're going to wait till game 6. But yeah, Golden State is on the ropes.
Yeah, I would say don't count Golden State out yet, though. That's a veteran team that's been there and done that. Although this version of the Golden State Warriors doesn't seem quite as lethal as past versions, but they're still capable. And we've seen that on a couple occasions over the postseason. But, in terms of the disparity in the free throws, before people start complaining in the NBA, and you, like you said, the NBA officials or the executives shouldn't feel embarrassed by this, in my opinion. And I'll tell you why, Jesse. If you look at the analytics through the course of the season, the LA Lakers attempted, I believe they were last in the league in, the Golden State Warriors were last in the league in free throw attempts, and they were one of the worst NBA teams in the bottom 5, I believe, in terms of free throws allowed per game. And then if you switch it over, the Lakers have been one of the best teams in the NBA in getting to the free throw line, and one of the best teams in the NBA in terms of free throws allowed. So I guess if you want to be in defense of the officials, you could say, look, this isn't a refereeing disparity. This isn't something that they're favoring one team or the other. This isn't a case where they're allowing physicality on one side and not the other. This is an ongoing trend that's happened throughout the entire season, Jesse. So I know what you're saying, and it's frustrating as a handicapper, especially if you have one side that, in this case, Golden State, that is getting a free throw line with much less frequency than the other in the Lakers. But it's been an ongoing trend all season long.
I mean, it's predictable as well. Like I said before Game 3 that going back to LA, you can expect the Lakers are going to get to the line early and often. They're going to get the calls. There's a history of seeing this already, like you mentioned. So I was betting on Anthony Davis's point total coming off that real stinker of a game. It was easy to predict that he was going to get plenty of free throws and probably go over his points total. So yeah, my last 2 points total bets were Anthony Davis over 24.5, and he got 25, and Steph Curry over 30.5, and he got 31. So that's just how it rolls for me.
Well, that's okay. A winner is a winner is a winner. You know what I mean? They don't come to you and say, Jesse, you got lucky. You bet $200, but we're only going to pay $100 because you won by half a point. No, that doesn't occur in sports betting. And those are, I give you a lot of credit because Anthony Davis, up until this point of the playoffs, it's almost like betting against him in a zigzag theory because he's had good game, bad game, good game, bad game. He was coming off a good game. And the pundits out there, I read a lot on Twitter yesterday where they were saying, you should go under his total. It opened at 25, went down to 24.5 just based on that. But Jesse had some keen insight there to take Anthony Davis over 24.5, and he cashed, and that's what good handicappers do. They don't let the public influence them. They don't let others' opinions influence them. They stick to their own guns and their techniques and their fundamentals, and that's the result. So, and Jesse, I always say some people tell you you're lucky when you win. You earn your luck, okay? And those are the types of situations where if you're on the other side of them, you feel sorry for yourself and say, I always lose those type of games. I never win by half a point. Well, my theory is, and it's up for a lot of debate, is those types of games even out, where the games that you win by a half, lose by a half, bad beats, lucky wins, those all even out. It's the games that are won or lost decidedly is the key. And if you win a lot more decidedly than you lose decidedly, that's the key, because those other games to me are going to even out. Now, of course, and you could speak to this, Jesse, when somebody is hot, those types of games seem to go your way when you win by a half a point or you're on the other side of what the opposition may term as a bad beat.
Well, it's not like I don't lose games by a half a point, because
Right.
I certainly do. But you're right. It feels like I get more bounces. That I win more than I lose in that department. And you need to get a little lucky from time to time in this business. It's very difficult to beat the bookmakers, and if you're unlucky, it makes it even more difficult.
And I'm a thorough believer, if you work hard enough, you create your own luck as well. So, again, I don't have anything specifically to back that up from a statistical standpoint, but that's just my personal feeling from doing it over the years. Anyway,
Well, I think if you go over it in your brain and you think of all the successful people you know and how hard they work, you know, it seems like hardworking people definitely create luck. I mean,
yeah, we were
it's not like
talking
everything just lands in their lap.
exactly, and we were talking off air, and you were telling me you're handicapping. People don't realize we're just not waking up in the morning looking at a board and throwing stuff up against the wall and hope it sticks. There's hours of handicapping, sifting through every game to find any possible betting edge. Now, when I say every game, on a college basketball Saturday, when 160 games, you have to eliminate most of them and then attack the others. And you have to have a system in place to say, I'm not going to address games within this line parameter, within this total parameter, and move on. But in a typical day in baseball, you're looking at every game. You're looking at every edge you could possibly uncover. And not only baseball, then you move on to the NBA playoffs, which I would say is handicapped much different than the regular season. And I don't think I'm far off when saying that. And I'd be interested to hear your take, Jesse. But, I know myself, it's 3-4 hours of handicapping every day, even during baseball season. And the NHL and the NBA going on at the same time. And then it's not only that, we have to write up analysis, Jesse. You know what I mean? So you want to show that you have a method to your madness. And that's important because customers sometimes want to know why you like a game instead of rushing to just the pick itself. And that's what I've been trying to profess here on this channel is we want to make you a smarter sports bettor today than yesterday. Yes, we want to win all our free picks. Have we done well on our free picks? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, sometimes the best way I could put it is your analysis speaks volumes because sometimes it's more important when you lose a game, what your analysis says, so the customer could understand why you went there. Now, we're going to miss by a ton sometime, be way off in our analysis, and that's going to happen. But there's a lot of times where, I don't know about you, but I'll look at a game that I lost the day before and say, would I make that same bet again?
I'll give you an example, Ross. I had the Cincinnati Reds on Sunday. I know a couple of real sharp fellas also had the Cincinnati Reds on Sunday because I was watching Winner's Circle with you and Doug just before this podcast. I bet you Sean had Cincinnati too.
Yeah.
And we all had Cincinnati because I don't know for a fact that Sean did, but I know for a fact that both you and Doug did.
Yeah.
And Graham Ashcraft had some fantastic numbers. The kid was dealing. And one of the stats I was using, and I don't know if you're even aware of this, but 4 of his first 5 starts came against first place teams that were first place in their division. I think the other 2 were like the Padres and the Phillies, also, not bottom of the barrel teams. So the kid was getting it done against really good teams. And then all of a sudden, you saw what happened on Sunday. It was 14-1 in the second inning, and you turn off the TV.
I had to look at that score twice, like I said yesterday. I'm watching a movie with my wife on Sunday afternoon, keeping track of the scores with my phone, and I look and I see 14-1 in a set. It can't be right. And then I see an 11 spot or a 10 spot they had in the first inning. Yeah. So, that analysis right there went out the window because, but at the end of the day, you make a good point, Jesse. I had Graham Ashcraft because I thought he was in very good form on a team that sorely needs pitching. He's a bright spot. And sometimes stuff like that doesn't hold up.
But I think if you write a really good analysis and you provide the historical trends and the stats to back up your selection, and you offer convincing reasons and and you paint a picture that sounds very, that sounds very well thought out, and I'm going to buy into that. If it loses, even if it loses 15-2 or whatever that game ended up, I think that you get some good grace from the customers that, hey, this really did look as good as it did before the game started. And if we attack every game like that, we're going to come out on top more often than not. Whereas if you just say 100 dime winner, and that's your analysis, as you know that some guys do, we're taking the Reds, 100 dimes. Yeah, well, that's a little less convincing that guy actually knows what he's doing.
Yeah, it's called a tout, not a handicapper. Anyway, let's get to our games, Jesse, without further ado. And you're going to have the LA Dodgers and the Milwaukee Brewers. That game will take place at Miller Field in Milwaukee, 7:40 p.m. Eastern time, first pitch. It'll be Noah Syndergaard for the Dodgers and Eric Lauer for the Milwaukee Brewers. And boy, both starting pitchers have struggled this year, especially Syndergaard on the road. 2 starts, a massive ERA on the road. And Lauer, 2 starts at home, has a massive ERA at home as well. So what do you got for us, Jesse?
Well, I might lean toward the Brewers here, Ross, just because they are at home. They do have a winning record at home. They did score nine runs in a win in game 1. But really, I don't want to get behind either of these 2 pitchers. As you mentioned, they're both struggling. I don't like either of them. Syndergaard, once known as Thor when he pitched for the New York Mets, is no longer a dominant pitcher. Comes in with a 1-3, 6.32 ERA. He allowed 3 runs on 8 hits in 5 1/3 innings in a win over St. Louis. You don't win too many games when you give up 3 runs on 8 hits, but he actually won in Pittsburgh as well, allowing 7 runs on 9 hits in just 4 innings. I guess he wouldn't have got the win, but the team won because they scored enough to make up for his poor performance. So those are his last 2 starts. He's 0-1 with a 14.63 ERA and 2 road starts. I mean, it's a small sample size, but he's just not pitching well at all this season. He's not showing us anything to think that better days are ahead. And he's at that age. He's at that point in his career where, his days are probably numbered in the majors. And Eric Lauer is a guy whose numbers don't look that bad, really. 3-3 with a 4.40 ERA for Eric Lauer. He's not a guy that I like at all throughout his career. So that's about what I'd expect from him. But he's coming off of a real bad one, or a bad couple starts. He allowed 8 runs on 12 hits in 7 2/3 innings, walked 6 in those 2 games, and of course both losses. And his home numbers are really concerning. 0-2 with a 12.86 ERA in 2 home starts. Again, small sample size. I don't usually like to use small sample size stats, but that's what we're working with because it's early in the season. But the Dodgers have gone over in 11 of their last 16 overall. They've gone over in 7 of their last 10 on the road, and they've gone over in 4 of the last 5 versus the Brewers. They're not giving you anything for free with a total of 9.5, but at least it isn't 10. I'm gonna go over in this game.
All right, so Jesse Schewel, he likes the Dodgers and Milwaukee game to go over the total of 9.5. I'll tell you what caught my eye here. When I was looking at this game, my first impulse was to go over 9.5 in the game. And then I looked at the first 5. And the total in the first 5 innings is 5.5, which is unusual because usually it's half the amount of the game total. But in this case, 5.5 for the first 5 innings, and the total is 9.5. And the 2 starting pitchers, like you just alluded to, have been horrible. On the other hand, the Dodgers, I didn't look at their bullpen statistics yesterday. They might not be good since they lost 9-3. But going into that game, their bullpen had really turned things around. They had under a 2 ERA over their last 7. The Milwaukee bullpen has been up and down. But to me, I think they're begging you to take the under 5.5 in the first 5 based on the game total. I'm going to go over 5.5 myself in the first 5. So we'll see how we do there. So I just have an opinion of going over 5.5 in the first 5. Jesse is going to take probably the safest route and take the over 9.5 for the game. And I think we'll both cash. That's the way I look at it. So anyway, I'm going to look at Toronto and Philadelphia interleague matchup. It'll be Alek Manoah for the Toronto Blue Jays. It will be Aaron Nolan for the Philadelphia Phillies. On paper, this is a great pitching matchup, but you know what? It really hasn't been great years for either Manoah or Nola, excuse me. But both pitchers got off to rough starts to the season. Here's what I'm looking at. I'm going to look at the Toronto team total in this game. The Toronto team total right now is 3.5. You have to lay a premium price, Jesse, to go over at -142, but I'm going to be willing to do that. And you know me, to stretch into the 140 range is very rare for me. But you look at Toronto, the last 8, they've scored 6.1 runs per game, averaged 10.4 hits per game. And this is a Toronto team that has scored 4 runs or more in 7 of their last 8 games. Also, Toronto has scored 4 runs or more in 25 of 35 games this year, which is around 71%. On the other hand, the Philadelphia Phillies have allowed 8.2 runs per game over their last 6, and they've allowed 4 runs or more in 6 of their last 7. So Aaron Nola, 4.64 ERA this year. The Phillies bullpen, which has been a problem for a few years now, but lately a 7.33 ERA and a 1.78 WHIP, a 5.19 ERA on the season. Not exactly great numbers. And Toronto's coming off a 3-game sweep over Pittsburgh, in which they outscored the Pirates 22-3. So I'm going to go. And also, by the way, since the start of last year, Toronto coming off back-to-back wins, which they are because they swept the Pirates in 3 games in their last series. They coming off back-to-back wins. They've scored, 6 runs per game off back-to-back runs, back-to-back wins. And that encounters 30 such situations since last year. So I'm going to go Toronto over the total of 3.5 at money line odds of -142. I just think that this is the best play on the board in terms of this game.
I like it, Ross. I think it's a good look. It's right in my wheelhouse. I like to take some of these high percentage, sort of high juice team totals or prop bets. 142 is pretty minor for me. So, it's a high probability game or a high probability play when you consider that the Jays could easily score 4 runs and still lose the game. And like you said, neither of these two pitchers are pitching the way you'd expect them to. But I would lean toward Philadelphia if I had to pick a side. My thought is I'd be more optimistic that Nola could have a good outing than Manoah, just in Philadelphia.
And it's going to be a contrarian play, meaning, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Jesse.
Oh, just that, like I said, the Phillies could easily win the game 5-4, 6-4, and you're still cashing that bet because, it's not hard to get 4 runs in a baseball game these days when you got a lineup like the Toronto Blue Jays do.
Yeah, and a bullpen like the Phillies have. So we'll see what happens. But I like Toronto over 3.5 runs on their team total. And Jesse is on the LA Dodgers and Milwaukee Brewers over the total of 9.5. There you go, folks. Those are our free picks in Major League Baseball for Wednesday, May the 9th. Jesse at jesseshul.com is going to tell you exactly how he's been doing of late and what he may have coming up this week.
Well, we're still rolling along in the NBA playoffs. We cooled off a bit this last week. I've sort of been had some humbling days lately, but I'm not alone. I look around the industry and I see, it's been tough sledding for a lot of guys lately, and I'm fortunate that I'm still sitting at or near the top of most of the leaderboards. still hitting 69% for the NBA playoffs so far. So can't complain with that, and feeling good heading into the rest of the week.
Yeah, very good. So you could find all of Jesse's plays at jesseshul.com. You could find me at rossbenjaminsports.com or rbwins.com, whatever you prefer. rbwins.com is a little easier, folks. You don't have to type out as many letters. So anyway, NBA, my sides in the NBA playoffs, money line, point spread picks combined 23-10. I had a push last night with Golden State, but that's good for 70%. Since April 12th in the NBA, on a very good NBA run of 25-15, 63%. Not quite Jesse's 69, but right up there. And at Sports Memo, I believe if I'm not number one, I'm in the top two in the NBA playoffs since they began. So you got two of the best NBA playoff handicappers right here in Ross Benjamin and Jesse Shule. In any event, folks, don't forget, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, the Winner's Circle Sports Betting channel, take a second to do so. It costs you absolutely nothing. There's no strings attached, no hidden agenda, no harassing phone calls or emails. You just subscribe and you're privy to some of the best information you're going to get anywhere on the internet when it comes to sports betting on a daily basis. Not only myself and Jesse Shule, Sean Higgs of picksandparleys.net. For those of you wondering where Sean is today, well, he's under the weather. He texted me early this morning. He doesn't feel good. So I think I can speak for Jesse and the viewers to say, Sean, I hope you feel better. And we look forward to having you back on sooner rather than later. And also, folks, don't forget, give us a like at the end of the video. Until the next time, for Jesse Shule and Ross Benjamin, I'd like to wish each and every one of you all the very best. Take care and God bless.